the Amiibos came out, and if you don't know what an Amiibo is, if you haven't somehow seen what an Amiibo is, or read one of the articles, Nintendo is now in what I believe they call near, what is it, NFC, near Wi-Fi connection or something like that, market for toys. It's the same thing that is used in the Skylanders toys and in the Disney Infinity toys. And
near field communication.
That's
what NFC stands for.
Near field communication. And what these are, they are a series of toys based on Nintendo property characters. They're doing, I believe, 49 of them in 3 or 4 waves. All of the Smash Brothers characters will be represented. The characters themselves, I like the figures. What they do with the game is fairly minimal but fun. You can tap them on your controller, and you can train them up to level 50. Once they're at level 50, you can keep feeding them certain items and armors to increase their stats. And basically, you can create these really, really difficult computer opponents to fight against. For instance, my buddy and I had a very tough time defeating my level 50 Kirby the other night when we were playing 2 against 1. But as with anything like these figurines, some are more popular, some are less popular. And there's always questions about scarcity and are they ever going to become collectible?
Sure. And in any, this is a toy. This is a figure. It's a figure,
right?
At least. And in any batches of figures that are made, they're never made in the same quantity per run. Usually, in a case of figures, usually a few that get less produced.
So there was a scare the other day because a supplier basically, all of this started on rumor and speculation. A supplier said that the 3 scarcest, Marth, Villager from Animal Crossing, and Wii Fit Trainer were being discontinued. That was based on interactions between this supplier and Nintendo, but there was nothing to back it up. What followed was a letter from a well-known Nintendo representative that said that no, they had not discontinued anything. As you know, some are going to be more popular than others. It's the holiday season. They were going to try to get things back in stock as soon as they could.
Mm-hmm.
But then Nintendo came out and left us with this piece of information, which unfortunately, to me, doesn't sound very positive. I think Pat has a different take on this.
This is from Games Radar?
No, this is the Nintendo Life one.
Okay.
And the direct quote is... from Nintendo is, we will aim for certain Amiibo to always be available. These will be for our most popular characters like Mario and Link. Due to shelf space constraints, other figures likely will not return to the market once they have sold through their initial shipment. That to me sounds an awful lot like Wii Fit Trainer, Villager, and Marth aren't coming back.
Well, and what date was this posted, this article? Was that from the 8th? Well,
that was from the 8th, but that's a direct line from Nintendo.
Okay, this is a Games Radar reporting this from today. This says the official word from Nintendo of America. Again, this is Games Radar reporting this. Some Amiibo were, which I guess is a plural of Amiibo. Some Amiibo were very popular at launch, and it is possible that some Amiibo in the United States, Canada, and Latin America may not be available right now due to high demand. In our efforts to manage shelf space during the launch period, certain sold-out Amiibo may return to these markets at a later stage. We are continually aiming to always have a regular supply of Amiibo in the marketplace, and there are many waves of Amiibo to come. So they're not saying it's discontinued. What they're saying is, yeah, we can cut up the supply right now because we have more to come out, but who knows? We can always put them back on the shelf.
I still think that just sounds like a nicer way of what I already... a nicer phrasing of what I already said. And really what it comes down to is you just have to think retail and shelf space. They have 49 of these things coming out. Now,
overall.
Overall. And Toys R Us's, section for Amiibo, just for the first wave, was huge. I mean, there isn't going to be any way that they can possibly keep all of these in production.
Okay. I'm going to have to go upon not my vast knowledge, but decent knowledge of toy production. Going back to even, let's just say, G.I. Joes. When G.I. Joe put out a line of new figures, every year there were roughly 20 to 25 new figures every year that they were put out. The previous year's figures were always produced, I believe, for 2 years. So the figures that came out in 82, you could get up to, I think, 84. Then they'd be discontinued. So I'm not sure exactly how it works. I wasn't alive then. But, of course, you'd have most of the newest ones would be available, be the newest line. But of course, there'd probably be, I guess, a smaller batch of the previous figures still available. They'd reproduce because people would still want those. So that's just smart business. You see the newer figures, you see the new older ones, and maybe you want a couple of the older ones. If Nintendo were complete idiots, yes, they would stop making Villager and the other two that are hard to find. But why wouldn't they continue to put out a very small quantity, at least giving people the hopes that they can get them and not having to spend tons of money, on the aftermarket ones?
Because because it's still shelf space. It doesn't matter if you include 2 in a shipment. You still need a spot for them to go. But, I mean, the only real answer to this is an online store, a Nintendo online store, where you can order these directly.
Oh, that's an answer, and again, that's why to me, I think I think these discontinued rumors are played up by whatever these websites are getting. First of all, a lot of these websites got this information early and just ran with it, not really realizing what this means. Because to discontinue means it's done forever. That's it, with no chance of coming back, which I think is not going to happen here. And that only fuels all the eBay listings you see where it says discontinued rare villager. Give me $200 for it. And no one wins except that, reseller that is going out to all the Targets and all the GameStops and buying as many as it can, and it fuels it, and it's just bad. So I'm not going to blame Nintendo here. Again, there's shelf space issues, and most people are going to go out to the store. I went out to the Target. There was one Link left. There was probably a decent amount of Links, I guess, and there was a lot of Marios left. They're probably the most well-produced ones. He's the franchise sort of icon. You had you had like 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 Yoshis, a few Donkey Kongs. I can't picture them making a lot of Donkey Kongs. He's not a hugely popular character anymore, And so they have to manage shelf space, but that doesn't mean they can't have limited numbers. Whenever the original Ninja Turtles toys came out, April O'Neil was hard to find because who would want what little boy want to play with April O'Neil figure? That's probably what they thought, playmates, and so it was so hard to find. There was only 1 or 2 per. Ship into a store. But they reproduced them later, and they came out with a version 2. The original run of Power of the Force Star Wars figures, when they re-released them, 95? Princess Leia was hard to find, and so she went for more money. But you know what? A year later, you could find her. They released another version of her. She was out there, so you could get it. So I don't think that this means the end of these characters. I just don't. I just think that, so they can put 1 or 2... If Nintendo's producing these... It's not going to cost them any more to run up that machine and produce these little pieces of plastic that don't cost them much to produce.
I don't know. Wii Fit, Villager, Marth. I like Wii Fit. I actually have the Wii Fit trainer. I want a Villager. I don't care about the Marth. But I'm sorry. Wave 2 is due out, I believe, in a couple of weeks. And I'm sorry. I'm just looking at this line from Nintendo. Other figures will likely not return to the market once they have sold through their initial shipment, which to me would be their Wave 1 shipment. I don't see these coming back.
Do you think they're not going to make any more after all the waves are out? You think once they sell, they're just going to let that space not be sold? They think there's demand?
I think there's going to be...
Nintendo's stupid?
I think that shelf space-wise, there's going to be, out of 49 characters, I think there's going to be a big enough best-of list that, yes, a lot of these are never going to come back.
So you think Nintendo will be that short-sighted not to know that people are chasing after these?
Because Nintendo's never been short-sighted before?
Not saying that, but they're going to see these printing money, and they probably are printing money. They charge, what are these, $12 each?
Anywhere from $12.99 to $13.99.
It probably costs them $1.50 each to produce these things in bulk.
I mean, I would love for what you're saying to be true, but I guess in this instance, no, I don't have the faith in Nintendo to do that, and okay. I don't see them coming back.
We'll have to make a gentleman's bet that after all these waves are released over the next 6 months, that they're going to produce more of these, and then there's nothing to stop them from easily throwing in a couple of the lesser desirable ones per case. Okay, we'll throw in a couple of villagers here just to mix it up. It's not going to cost them. It's not going to cost them shelf space to put 2 or 3. Say after all these 49 comes out, say there's like 10 to 12 that are tough to find. Fair enough, something like that. Say 3 or 4 per wave. After that, what's it keep them saying? Okay, we'll throw a few of these in per box of I don't know. I'm trying to think of what toy shipments. Back in the day, what they came in, I think there were cartons, starting lineup figures. Where was there 12 to 20 of them, something like that?
I think this is all going to depend on how popular the functionality of the Amiibo is later on, and how if the popularity of it wanes down or not. I do think that yes, there are some that we're not going to see, And I do think that if there is one that you want and you see it for a reasonable price, you should probably grab it. And
Or
by
like
a reasonable price, I mean retail to a little bit more. I'm not saying spend 30 to like 60.
Or like you said, if Nintendo puts them for sale in their store, I don't see why they wouldn't do that. Again, it's printing money.
To me, that's the easy solution to this.
Yeah, it doesn't cost them anything to do. If they do a run of like say they do a run of, I don't know, per these tough characters, they do a run of, I don't know, 300 each or something, just to test the waters.
Right.
They know they can probably move those overall. It's not going to cost them that much to make that. And then they see them all sell out and in a couple of days. What do you think they're going to do? Not make more? They're going to make more. They're going to figure it out at some point. I have faith that we said this back when they first announced this. This is how Nintendo is going to make their money back in a large chunk. Because the Wii U, they're not making that much money on each console. I'm not sure if I think they're about breaking even per console sold. This is their peripheral that's going to make them a bank,
right? If
it's successful. And this is only the first game that they're doing this with.
Well, no, it unlocks costumes for Mario Kart. It will.
Well, I mean, like this is the first line for this for Smash.
Sure.
After this, maybe there'll be one for the Zelda Wii U game. Maybe there'll be, you know what I mean? They can start thinking about other. You know what I mean?
It unlocks they unlock weapons for Hyrule Warriors too.
What I'm saying is, this is not going to be the last line that come out just for based upon Smash. There could be.
Well,
more
no, but
later.
Smash is a great starting point because
there's so many characters.
to start with.